because of this experience, I will be a better and stronger human being. Because of this bending, we will not break.
And we're back. A Place Called Resilience podcast, episode 5. I'm Martin Perry. It's my pleasure and privilege to welcome my friend and co-host, Emmy Schaling. Emmy, greetings.
Thank you.
Tonight, we're going to be tracing Emmy's resilience journey and the part it has played in her line of life, growth, and possibility. For those of you joining the show for the first time, A Place Called Resilience podcast is a research into the quality of resilience. And it's been a fascinating experience so far with our different guests and their different life and growth stories and the part resilience has played in their development. So it's going to be very interesting to chat with you tonight, Emmy, and discover your relationship and insights and perceptions about resilience. So let's begin. What part has resilience played in your life?
Well, a very vivid memory that I have of resilience being demonstrated by my father, actually, was when we were playing together. And whenever I had trouble performing something because it was just a bit too difficult, he told me that it was good for your character to have to struggle with things, because it would build your character. It would help you overcome difficulties and struggle, even if you didn't believe it could work. So from that instruction and also demonstration, because he was like that, I learned the pleasure of fighting for something and then actually succeeding, even if it was hard, and even if in the beginning you would think it was impossible.
Could we hone in on some details for a moment?
Yes.
So when you said you were playing, what were you playing?
We were making music together. He was playing the piano and I was playing the cello.
On what age are you referring to here?
We started really, well, not really young. For these times it was late, but now I'm referring to 12, 13. When you become aware that some things don't work right away. And yeah.
And in those years of learning the cello, in the presence of your father, what were some of the challenges you actually faced in the learning? And how did resilience or that particular encouragement from your father get you through those moments? And what did it teach you that you could then use in later life?
Well, there was one moment, and it didn't have to do with the technique or any musical aspect of learning to play the cello. It was when I wanted to talk to the solo cellist of a regional orchestra in our town. And I asked my father, whom I was with, I think, or was going to go to a concert with. And I said, can you please accompany me to meet the solo cellist? Because I wanted to study with him. And he said, well, you're big enough. You can do it by yourself. You don't need me at all. And it was a challenge. I was a bit shy. But in the break of the concert, I went, I don't know, somewhere. I didn't even go to their place where they had their coffee. But I spoke to someone and they introduced me to the solo cellist. I spoke with him and then he suggested I would do an audition with him. And that was actually the start of my pre-conservatory education. And so my father often showed his belief in my abilities, and that helped me very much.
As you were learning the cello and taking on pieces of greater difficulty, how did the early years lesson of expect difficulty, embrace it, help you? And what I'm searching for is in the middle of a difficulty of, say, a complex piece of music, what would your attitude be, or what qualities would you draw on to negotiate those difficulties?
Well, I think I always tried and tried again till I would get what I wanted. I was very determined to achieve what the music asked. And so nothing could stop me in this, actually. When the solo cellist accepted me as his student, he suggested that I would stop playing in the youth orchestra that I was playing in and that I loved playing in. He said, you either continue in the orchestra, but it will complicate matters a little bit, or you just stop playing altogether and I will teach you a completely new technique. And having the character that I had at the time, I chose for the second option. So I completely left the orchestra and started focusing on learning a new technique altogether to approach the cello. So it was everything or nothing. That was actually my stance. Paying a price. I learned that very young because when I was 16, I was doing good education in secondary school. And I also wanted to do the pre-conservatory. So I got up at 6 and I think I did my homework. And then when I came home, I practiced 3 hours of cello or more if I could. So I was very determined to make it happen because that's what I wanted.
And what was driving that ambition when you say that's what you wanted? What was fueling that particular drive, motivation, and ambition?
I love music. And I had tasted beautiful symphonic work in the youth orchestra with which we went to Italy on a tour. And I just love the symphonic beauty. All people working for one purpose. I just loved it. As I speak, the sounds of the 8th Symphony of Dvorak come back. It was just a beautiful experience, and this is what I wanted to have more of. Not necessarily as a in solo pieces. Yes, cello, piano. But I loved music. And I played a Brahms sonata, E minor. He composed this piece when he was passionately in love. And I played it, and I surrendered to the music, and it caused something very deep and beautiful in me. That is what music did, and that's why I practiced so hard.
So you shared with us some instances or where you've been moved by, felt the symphonic power of the orchestra, which strikes me as being an important part of your resilience journey, as in being moved by something so deeply, it now begins to govern your feelings towards music and your attitude towards learning, and thus adversity and difficulty. It's you plus the powerful force of symphonic music. And I'm wondering, when you had those moments where you felt the wave of symphonic power, what exactly you were experiencing?
Well, there's a few things. In an orchestra, you hear that the instruments being played are coming to their right. They sound the best they can. They have a part that brings out the best of the instrument. Like you hear a beautiful horn solo, or you hear the cooperation of all the violins in a beautiful melodic fragment. So you hear the best of every group in the orchestra, but not only that, there is a harmonious way of building together towards a very beautiful experience that can lift a whole orchestra and all the individuals in it. Not only because of the cooperation and because the space you give each other whilst you're playing, trying to make the best music you can, but also because sometimes something happens with the conductor and a new way of interpreting and playing just happens upon the orchestra. So it's an enhanced situation where you can actually feel that your skin starts tingling and you experience different parts in your own system. It is difficult to explain. It feels as if you're expanding and as if you're it's not tissue, but as if the stuff that we are made of, as if it's growing and filling itself with fluid. So you start to feel different layers in yourself, and you surrender. You know the part, you surrender to what is needed, and suddenly beautiful, unexpected things start to happen.
So you've described this feeling of being immersed in the symphonic wave, almost at a cellular level, or perhaps at a cellular level. How did that impact on two things? One, your growth journey and development journey with music. And two, your interaction with groups of a different kind. Having experienced the symphonic wave and the harmony that comes with that, and the part you could play in that, and what was possible in the harmonic between people with music as the outplay theatre. How did that then impact on your experience with other groups and collectives of people?
Yeah, well, good questions. Well, the first question, if once you've had an experience like that, that the unexpected takes over and you feel magnetized by another element whilst playing music together, it can also be one piano and one cello. Once you have that experience, you keep looking for it because it's an optimum, and you're longing for that to happen again. And for that to happen, you need to be immersed in the music in such a way that technical challenges don't stop you. To arrive at that point, you need to put in a lot of energy. So to be free, you need to invest a lot. But you're willing to do that because you know that there can be such a wonderful experience. That's the investment. And I know from having subbed in an orchestra that people say, well, once or twice a year we have that experience in orchestra. It seems not only a matter of being well prepared on your instrument, but also to have a high degree of willingness to surrender to something stronger than you and the orchestra and the conductor. So it's a once you've felt it, once you've been in it, you want it again, and it is the bonus of working really hard, and it already happens in your study because in the place where you're practicing your instrument, you play, you practice, and again and again, and every morning you discover yourself how you are now with the piece and the instrument and yourself. And it can happen within 10 minutes that suddenly you're carried above the material and you feel, oh, something is happening now. I could not have forecasted this. So that's question one. And question two, I think the experience in orchestra can give you a very fine tuning to what might be needed at which point in a group. You feel there's something out of balance, or it's a very careful feeling one's way forward to the timing. Is this a good time to contribute something, or is it not? It can help. It doesn't necessarily always help because we humans can be very impatient beings. So if we want to contribute something and don't have the stamina or the control or the allowance in self to wait, then you can be too disruptive or forceful.
In the experience of the orchestra, you're moved by the symphonic wave, but you're also now describing what I guess is generally referred to as being a muse, whereby a something, maybe that which has moved the composer to write that piece of music, becomes at one with the musician, who for many reasons may well be open and a conduit for an influence greater than themselves, and thus becomes a muse on behalf of something else. Something plays through them, which might be seen in their tone, the look in the eye, their radiation or emanation, or a special something which then transfers to the audience, who can have a special experience, a memorable experience, in fact, not to be forgotten.
That's right.
And this is a theme around much great art, music, sport even, that transcends ordinariness and touches the witness in such a way that they are moved by something in the way the musician is moved by. And this feels to me a very interesting part of the mosaic of resilience. And I'm wondering, having had these rich experiences, how that then forged your relationship with resilience.
It seems to me that if there is something that drives and moves you stronger than anything else, resilience comes as a natural companion, because you learn that if it doesn't work yet today, it may work tomorrow, and I will try to find my way around this obstacle. And it started very young. My father said, okay, this is too difficult. Let's play it an octave lower, and then you can play it. And we used to have pieces that were just a bit too difficult, and we just stuck a piece of paper on there with notes that I could play, and then we would move on. And at some point we could take away the alternative notes and played it as it was meant to be. And this continued with one of my teachers in conservatory. He was very resourceful. And he said, okay, you have small hands, let's leave out that note. And I was really surprised. Leave out notes, it's the composer's composition. You don't touch it, you don't change it. But he just did it. And he made sure that the notes of the chords were in the piano, so no harm done. But so you learn to work towards a result and think about alternative fingerings or different bowings, or you always work on improving what you've done, and it's very volatile. What you've done today, you may not be able to do tomorrow in the same way. So you learn to live with the fluctuation of what is possible today.
Yet at the same time, is there something else in mind that is the motivating factor to go through the pain of mistakes or the pain of repetition? Somehow beyond that is a motivating force.
Yeah, I first want to say something about repetition. It is not boring if you use your different systems, and if you are an effective student and an effective practicer. It's not, I'm sitting 2 hours and I'm doing the same thing all over again. You need to engage your different layers. You were talking about the orchestral impact. It is also because your soul is touched in the cooperation, and your spirit can be affected by playing, in that you feel as if a fountain of well-being is springing out of your systems. And that's the most beautiful, profound experience. And I remember one school performance where a solo was played, a small solo of a piece composed by a Dutch composer. And he was in the hall with his wife. And after the concert, she came up to the player and she said, that was so special. And I remember the player experienced being a medium, as if something suddenly came through her, moved her, It was like non-personal, clear, no attachment. It was just a different sound that started to sound. So there, you could say it's almost an unseen happening that is taking place all of a sudden. You can hear it when someone speaks to you and all of a sudden their voice changes and you hear more of the life. You hear more of the person come through their voice. You could compare it to that.
And this is making you more resilient in what way?
You don't mind if it doesn't work sometimes. You don't mind the mistakes. You don't mind the struggles. It's like climbing a mountain. It can hurt, all kinds of things can happen. But then you know what it is to be on the summit and you look around and you feel this spacious feeling. And you tell yourself, this is what I've done it for.
And has that I don't mind attitude and spirit played itself out in other areas of your life subsequently?
Yes, I've got a few knocks and changes where I needed to recalibrate myself and think this too will pass and there must be a way to regenerate and to refine the path I'm on.
What do you think the I don't mind attitude and psychology, what do you think that does? What do you think that allows?
It allows for you to find the space that you need to start again. And I have to add, it doesn't always work this way. It's not. With music, it was easy in a way to have this mindset. Although I had very big disappointments as well. I could tell you one later. Well, this mindset, I think this mindset is being maintained if you have a bigger picture. When I couldn't play in orchestra anymore because I had 2 children to take care of, I once asked a lady who was in a theater business. I asked her how she had been dealing with not being able to play, and she said, "You can always play. It will be different circumstances. So you need to be open to apply yourself in different ways." And when I wanted to play the cello again, I found a way to play in churches where there were commemorative services for people who had passed that year. And it was the most impressive experience because whilst the whole service was a non-religious service, actually was aimed at helping the family to mourn about their loved ones who had passed that year. I could feel the people who had passed, some of the people who had passed, I could feel them around. So the music made some kind of a connection with what was present in the church, but what could not be seen. But because of the playing, certain knowings dawned upon me. And so if you only think in terms of I need to play in a concert hall and I want to be seen as a professional, if you stay with that frame of mind, you miss so many opportunities.
So you've introduced to us, really from the beginning of your story, the bigger picture,
Yes.
whether it was initially through ambition, then being moved by the symphonic wave, and then the experience in church or churches of the commemorative services, where you've begun to feel and have a relationship with you, the music, and the something else.
Sorry.
Which now seems to be a feature of this story.
In
our construction of resilience and its part in your life, introduced us to an I don't mind mindset, way of thinking inside a bigger picture. Now, what guidance would you have for someone else seeking to develop a better resilience practice using those two elements, I don't mind and or the bigger picture, as guidance tools to develop a greater resilience?
I think I would suggest to people to find those things in their life that cause awe in them, that move them, inspire them, and start to explore the different ways of dealing with those things. I would say try different things in different circumstances. Work for what moves you. Make small steps of belief that what you're learning now or what you're trying now will help you to get where you want to go. Because I've experienced that even the setbacks can help you get where you want to go to. Not only because it makes you stronger to overcome difficulties, but also because the mindset of, for example, I will realize what I started to intend, and even if I wasn't given the opportunity to realize what my intention was, I will wait and be alert to find the next opportunity where I can realize what I wanted to do. I've seen unexpected results of that kind of mindset because I was focused on doing what I set out to do, and that may have a result at some point in a time that you don't expect it at all. So that's one thing. And also, because you learn to deal with disappointment, it becomes part of your life. Resilience is something that makes you veer back, find yourself back again. It can be very refreshing to need to start all over again. It's natural to adapt to new circumstances. In preparation for this interview, I studied a little bit the different trees that are resilient on our planet, and one of them is the baobab, another one is the mangrove, another one is the ginkgo biloba, is it? And several traits of these trees were that they adapted easily, having to deal with resistance actually strengthens your system, strengthens the being that you are. We're made that way. I'm convinced that resilience is the companion of freedom of choice. The human being has been gifted with choice. If we would not have any resilience to correct ourselves after discovering it was not such a good choice, it was maybe a mistake. If we didn't have that ability to correct ourselves and reflect the consciousness, we would be very hard on ourselves. So we need resilience to regenerate, to realign towards what we want.
Thank you. It's been a fascinating journey so far. You've taken us into the world of music and the richness therein. I'm wondering, are there any pieces of music you would recommend for us to listen to that for you carry the feeling and character of resilience?
Yes, there are. Well, one I've already mentioned, which is the Brahms cello sonata, or sonata for cello and piano, in E minor. The man shows his feelings so generously, but he also finds a way to deal with it after the first movement, where he displays his rich palette of all that he feels for this lady that he's in love with. I think it's an unanswered love, so he needs to deal with that. Then there's other pieces by chamber music by Brahms, and Schubert has written a quintet. This is all chamber music. If you hear that music, you hear the depiction of human tragedy and human sentiments, grief, recovery. Many of the chamber music pieces. You can listen to Bach Goldberg variations. It's a whole journey. Whenever I'm out of balance, I just listen to Goldberg variations.
Let me just hone in on that for a moment.
Yeah.
You're out of balance,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, as a resource, Bach's Goldberg variations
That's
can
right.
help you. In what way do they help you, and why do Bach's Goldberg variations help you in this way?
I think Bach has an aspect that is very balancing and very deep emotional at the same time, which is one reason why it is such strong music. It works because it balances the different parts of the human function, the thinking, the motoric system, the instinct, the religious, emotional, we're in it together part, inspirational part with new findings, new discovery. It seems that his music balances all of these parts that are alive in us. So it's
Thank you.
Yeah. Hmm.
We're coming to the end of the podcast. I wonder if you've got any final thoughts in looking back down the line of your life and recognizing the part resilience has played in it. How do you now see and perceive resilience from where you are today?
if you regret having done or chosen certain things, be mild with yourself in the way of, I could not have done better. I've tried my best at the time, and from where I am now, I can see I should have done this or could have done that. But if you would have been able to, you would have done it. So that's milder view at mistakes. Could you repeat the second half of your question?
Yeah, the question which I posed to you was really your ability to now look down the line of your life and maybe have a glimpse or insight into the way that the part resilience has played in your journey to get you to this point.
Resilience can be a friend, a comrade who says, because of this attempt, the next one will be better. Because of this experience, our hope for it to be better tomorrow will be stronger. Because we have been here and it didn't work yet, we can gather strength to improve tomorrow. Because of this experience, I will be a better and stronger human being. Because of this bending, we will not break. Because of our trying, others may be fortified, strengthened in trying as well. We may not succeed today, but maybe others will succeed tomorrow.
Feelings I have about this experience is the lightness of being you've brought. A very clear lightness of being. And lightness of being to mean an I don't mind mindset that allows you to deal with whatever it is you're having to deal with without getting overtly attached or in such a way dragged down or sidetracked, but staying close to an abiding theme, an overarching principle, a governing sense of the bigger picture that creates perspective. With philosophy, a philosophy for living, which has a because of this sentiment and an I don't mind self-view that allows growth, allows continuance, allows development, allows a whole range of other things because of not getting attached to, not getting dragged down by, not getting caught up in that which one does not need to be caught up in. So thank you very much, Emmy, for sharing glimpses from your life and the part resilience has played in that journey.
Thank you, Martin. I'm very happy to have been here. It gave me a renewed experience of my life so far and the beautiful moments I've been blessed with by playing in orchestras, playing chamber music, sharing passion and love. And I wish everyone who listens to this podcast to find their passion and their love. And I hope you will be moved in your particular unique way by what once to play the game of life with you.
So thank you very much, Emmy. This has been A Place Called Resilience podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to like, to comment, to share and subscribe. I'm Martin Perry. I've been with Emmy Schaling. Until the next, take care. Goodbye.